Today I'm talking to my friend Mark Topley. I met Mark back in 2011 in Tanzania. Mark, until recently you ran a charity called Bridge to Aid, but you've recently made a change. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I had a fantastic 13 years with Bridge to Aid, obviously living overseas for 10 years in Mwanza, and took the charity from very sort of small beginnings with just the four of us on the team up to a team of over 40 and training over 500 clinical officers in emergency dentistry. We also ran a very successful dental clinic as part of that project, which was very exciting. But at the end of sort of 13 years, you start to feel maybe that the time is to move on, that you've made the biggest contribution that you can make. And so in discussions with a few people, I decided that the time was right, and so decided to leave Bridge to Aid behind and move into something I'm very passionate about, which is CSR, or corporate social responsibility.
So why have you transitioned from Bridge to Aid to CSR?
Well, I think one of the things that I really benefited from working with Bridge to Aid was that we managed to create a way of working with businesses which was very effective. It was always very win-win. So any of the organisations we work with, Henry Schein or AIDEC or some of the other bigger companies, Straumann and others, we always tried to create a win-win situation. But what I often saw through working with different businesses of all different sizes was that they were missing a trick in terms of what they could be getting from their CSR, in terms of the impact on their team, on their PR, on their brand and their overall communications. And so I started to do a bit of research and talk to a few people that I really respect in the industry about that, and then decided to come up with a kind of formula for dental practices of how CSR could work in a way which was simple and straightforward, rather than being, yet another thing that you've got to do as a practice owner. So it was kind of that motivation of getting businesses to get the most that they possibly could get out of CSR, together with maximising the impact for charities and charitable causes that I'm passionate about, putting those two things together and coming up with a structure that then could be applied into dentistry. And that's why I made the transition.
What exactly is CSR?
Yeah, good question. CSR really for me is all about how your values as a person, as a business owner, translate into how you do business, how you operate, what you believe as a business. So it's got three elements. It's about how good you are as a corporate citizen, so as part of the locality that you're in, as part of the industry that you're in, and if you want to get lofty about it, your role in wider society. Are you a good corporate citizen in terms of how you impact on good causes and on the community that you're a part of? So that's number one. The second thing is how do you operate in terms of your ethics? Are you transparent? Are you honest in your business dealings? So that's another key element of CSR. And the third one is how you treat people. So primarily your own team. Are you sort of riding that line with HR law, or are you actually trying to build loyalty and fulfillment and look after your team in ways which give them some sort of sense of purpose at work? So you put those three things together, and that's what social responsibility from a corporate standpoint translates for me.
I understand there are a lot of big businesses out there with a CSR policy, but why is it important for a dental practice or a dental business to have a CSR policy?
So it's important for businesses of all sizes, because businesses of all sizes ultimately deal with consumers. And so as society's trends have changed, what's happened over the last 20 years or so is that more and more consumers are judging business at a standard beyond profit. So if you are a business that is just looking to make a profit and not act responsibly, then all the evidence suggests is that you will be losing customers. People will be choosing other companies to buy from rather than you. And that translates all the way down from the disasters like BP and some of the other bigger companies that have made some real big mess ups in terms of their CSR, all the way down to the high street. Because people are looking for somewhere to buy from where they know that you're trying to make a difference. Over 90% of consumers now expect the companies that they buy from to make a difference as part of their normal business practices. And that's also that translates into the people that work for you. So they're looking to fulfill their values as people through their jobs. And increasingly, especially with millennials, that's something that's changing as well. So both with consumers and with your team, you're going to be losing out if you're not having a structured CSR policy. And the other thing is that, those are the kind of sticks that are around to sort of beat you into doing CSR, but there's also some great carrots. So, in terms of the impact that it makes on your team, in terms of loyalty, in terms of engagement, which is a big missing part of businesses nowadays, having a CSR policy and some appropriate activities around that can make a big difference in terms of your team. And then in terms of patient loyalty, customer loyalty, all the evidence suggests that if you've got a strong CSR policy, the people will stick with you through thick and thin because they believe in you in you as people. And then wider in terms of your reputation and your brand, CSR can have a big impact on that as well as the good causes that you might be passionate about but not really know how to impact. So it applies all the way from big business right the way down to small businesses, and the one that I probably understand better than other ones that I do, which is dentistry and dental practices.
In your experience, where have you seen CSR working really well, and where have you seen it perhaps not work quite as well, and what do you think the main pitfalls are?
Well, I think the businesses that do CSR well start, as I said, with values. So they take a look at who they want to be as an organisation, and they translate that into their values. So one of my clients has got a very strong sense of responsibility about creating legacy for his business, and so that translates into how he treats his team from an HR standpoint, but also into his CSR in terms of making a difference through the income that he generates, through the fundraising activities that they undertake, through mentoring and all sorts of things. And that will be different for different people. So the businesses that do it well connect with who they are as individuals and then work that out, because it will be different. The causes you choose will be different. How you choose to apply it in the business will be different. And if you build it on that foundation of values first and foremost, rather than just picking a few activities off the shelf, then it will work well, there'll be congruence to it, and it can flow into all those areas of the business that we've talked about the team, about PR, about reputation. So that's how to do it well. Where people typically fall down is they're sporadic about it. They're not intentioned and thought through. So it's not like that there are no businesses doing CSR, but they're kind of coming across it, thinking about it as a nice idea to do, doing something, getting the benefits, and then wondering 2 years later why they've kind of lost that feeling that they got from it. So not planning is a key thing. Having a series of activities that match different people in your organisation. Not everybody's going to want to jump off a bridge with a bungee attached to their heels. Some people like to do bake sales. Some people are not going to take part, and that's fine. So matching the activities to the business and to the particular team that you've got. And I think the biggest thing that people do is that they pay lip service to it. And as we were talking about, consumers are much more discerning about the companies they buy for. They can also spot fake CSR much more easily than they maybe would have done 10, 15 years ago. So if you don't commit to it and you don't invest in it, then it will actually have a negative effect rather than any kind of neutral effect on the business, because people will see through it as a PR stunt rather than something that you're really genuinely committed to.
Okay, that's a really interesting answer. So what should I do to incorporate CSR into my business?
Well, the first thing you should do is have a little look at my website, which is marktopley.co.uk. I've also got a Facebook page where I share lots of different links and write and blog and put videos and all those sorts of things. Have a little look around those two. You can find the link to my Facebook page from the website. Subscribe to the updates, which I provide for free through my website as well. And again, that has more articles and information. If at that point you think, actually, this is something I really do want to do, then the first thing you do is contact me for a no obligation assessment, and I'll give you an assessment of where you are now as an organisation and some suggestions in terms of how you could move forward with the things that you're doing. You're also going to have an online course which you can access, and that will be available soon. And from those two things, we can then match what it is what would suit you best. Whether it's better to get me to come in because you're at a more advanced stage, or whether you need to start with the online course as a means of introducing you to CSR and getting you started. The key thing is to start small and to have some successes rather than try and go too big too soon and lose the momentum and lose the energy and the interest because it becomes too burdensome. So be appropriate, get in touch with me, and then we can go from there.
Okay, Mark. Thanks very much for being here today and answering all those questions. It's been fantastic. Great to see you.
You too.
See you again soon.
Yeah, cheers, Rob.